Mr. Auštrevičius, thank you very much for taking the time to join us on this Sunday morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Pleasure.
Good morning. So, the Baltic states playing a pivotal role in the dynamics of the region for many reasons. And I'd like to get into one or two of them this morning. Let's start with the Russian-speaking populations of the three states, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. Now, they're quite large, are they not, in Estonia, 25% or thereabouts, and about 30% in Latvia. Lithuania, much smaller, 4 to 6% is the estimate. How influential is the Russian-speaking population on the foreign policy decisions of the countries in which they live?
Well, to begin with, probably I should explain how those so-called Russian-speaking parts of population came to the Baltic states. It's a direct result of occupation in 1940 and then comeback of the Soviet troops in 1944. And since then, by 1990, the Soviet dominance, the Soviet occupation. There was a policy of enforced and very rapid industrialization. Mainly, that workforce was brought back from the Russian Federation, today's Russian Federation. So it was probably done by purpose, since the communists, the Kremlin knew that the more Russian-speaking population will be, the more loyal, usually traditionally resistant Baltic countries might become. The case of Lithuania is a very special one, since we do have around 4%, 4.5% or 5% of the Russian-speaking population, among which we have more than 90% Lithuanian citizens. Since we've been very generous, offering the so-called zero option in 1990, they've been given the Lithuanian passports. Unlike in Latvia and Estonia, where much bigger population, it was seen as a possible threat to the statehood of those countries. There was a process of, integration, gradual integration. Once they shown some efforts, to learn language, some constitutional provisions, they've been given passports. So that's why, indeed, those countries, having a bit more challenging times with the Russian-speaking, especially in a very concentrated places they live, like Riga in Latvia and eastern part of Estonia, or close to Narva. Indeed, there is some maybe sentiment of more, let's say, looking friendly towards East. Putin was continuously a winning candidate in elections, by the way, in the Baltics. Probably the last so-called elections were exceptional in this regard. I see positive changes, and I see a need of more integration and more, let's say, approaching Russian speakers in order to explain, in order to, integrate them and to be on the same side of history.
Right. Well, it's interesting you should say that, talking about the integration. Alexandra Pelkova of the Latvian Institute of International Affairs, in an interview with the Polish press agency, said that the Russian-speaking population in Lithuania and Estonia, basically they support membership of the European Union because they like the benefits. What benefits do you think she is referring to, and does that support extend to the Baltic states' support of Ukraine?
Well, the benefits this researcher probably was making a reference to, I believe, are mainly social economic, because let's be frank, Lithuania and Estonia have reached and become more successful as members of the EU. Our economic development are almost at the same level. Latvia is a bit below. And we've been indeed very successful in, kind of offering all parts of population equal economic benefits, as well as free travel connectivity with Europe and so on and so forth. And I can tell you, I mean, within this society, there is no any tension between different nationalities or different language users. Not at all. I mean, probably some in Kremlin would like, I mean, to see tensions building up, but it's not the case, at least in Lithuania. We approach each other, and I can tell you, I mean, the younger generation of Russian population in Lithuania are fluent Lithuanian speakers. Now situation has changed. You know, previously they've been simply told by Moscow, by those USSR kind of nomenclatura people. Oh, well, the Russian language is a prevailing, it's a global language. Those local languages as Lithuanian, Latvian, or Estonian are of minor importance. Of course, it was a negligence. But, our societies, indeed, you're completely right, are standing strongly behind Ukraine. We have, by the way, some Russian-speaking people, Russians by origin, strongly supporting Ukraine's cause in different ways, in charity, in political debates, and so on. Maybe it's to lesser degree in Latvia, which is a worrisome because it might be used as a pretext for some, I would say hybrid actions which Russians once Kremlin would like them to take.
Indeed, indeed. Well, let's move on now, sir, to something slightly different, a joint military exercise between Lithuania and Poland, designed to protect the Suwałki Gap between the two countries, which also potentially could form the link between Kaliningrad, the Russian exclave, and Belarus. So very sensitive touch point area over there. Tell me, or tell the audience actually, more importantly, how did those exercises go, and are the two countries, Lithuania and Poland, able to protect the Suwałki Gap from some kind of connection between Belarus and Kaliningrad?
I'm sure we can, and we must. I would probably start from saluting the military and defense and security cooperation between Lithuania and Poland. We have complete understanding. We are partners by soul and by action. This is something which indeed it's our bond, our connecting bond, and a complete understanding. And the recent military games, once again, is a demonstration of good interaction, compatibility, joint, command structures, and so on. I'm sure we will see more and more these kinds of military games taking place on different sides of the border. I think we have to increase and even integrate better our militaries what comes to this regional interaction, especially on the Suwałki corridor perimeter. Once you see this interaction, I mean, the military staff as well as equipment taking part in exercises, you can judge, I mean, what kind of a response might come in case of any provocation or any, try or attempt, I mean, from the Russian or Belarusian side. So we are serious. We are, in full control. We have a complete understanding, and I believe each and every military exercise like this brings even more compatibility between Lithuanian and Polish military forces, high commanders, and I think we speak the same language what comes to that situation.
Indeed. Well, I mean, certainly Lithuania and the other Baltic states have punched way above their weight in terms of their contribution to NATO exercises in general, but also specifically in terms of their support of Ukraine. Speaking of which, Ukraine, of course, is trying to raise more men for the military. They've lowered the conscription age to 25, and they're trying to encourage Ukrainian men outside the country to come back and enroll. Now, Poland, of course, has taken the lead in limiting social benefits available to Ukrainian men in this country. Do you see Lithuania and the other Baltic states doing something similar?
While this issue is so current for Ukraine, it's definitely because of the need to rotate their militaries on the front line. Many units, Ukrainian military units, are already for 2 years and more on the front line. We can only imagine, how tired psychologically and physically they are. So that's why there should be some rotation, there should be some change within their ranks and units. And this is about the new recruitment, new mobilization. And a big part of the Ukrainian men are outside, in particular, for example, in the Baltic states as well. And I think our authorities will cooperate with Kyiv in this regard. We will ask those men to explain or to subscribe to the call from the Ukrainian authorities to join military forces, because it's so important to bring its own contribution to this existentially important war against a Russian aggressor. And I think this cooperation with the Ukrainian authorities will be continuous. I can bring only one example, as already for 2 years, some Lithuanian companies refused to accept Ukrainian men as employees in order, to show them where they have to go and what they have to do first, meaning joining the Ukrainian military force. That was some good example, but of course, we still have many Ukrainian men here working and supporting their families. Of course, it's important, but first is first. So that's why I think the cooperation with Kyiv will be unconditional.
Right. Yes. Well, certainly that's been true so far. Now, interestingly, Belarus, Minsk, has accused Lithuania of carrying out a drone attack. Vilnius has responded by accusing Minsk of disinformation. What can you tell us about that exchange?
Well, we already continuously follow some attempts from the Belarusian authorities. This time, in particular, Belarus KGB chief Tertel, he himself jumped in on this issue, accusing Lithuania or any our institutions, so-called sending drone over the border towards Belarus. Interestingly, the place was chosen to indicate by Belarusians was a kind of the military installation made for military games. They know, what they speak about. It's well prepared kind of informational provocation. Definitely so, but worrisome that they are not stopping this activity, and time from time they come up with new kind of proofs that there is a increasing military buildup and so-called push from our side. But we know where it comes from. They live according to the Kremlin script, so they are told. I don't think the Belarusians themselves, they want to follow this aggressive line. But we have to be serious. We have to follow those so-called hybrid attacks, and to be ready for any response. But so far, we've been calm. We really denied all accusations, and we are looking forward for our partnership with our partners, allies, and we keep our line strong.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Auštrevičius, for coming
you.
along and sharing your expertise and insights with our audience. Have a good day, sir.
Same to you. Goodbye then.
Thank you.